Oh yeah, like the Navy knows how to pick up chicks. How to succeed with brunettes, because failure's not an option.
How to succeed in business, or with brunettes, or blondes.
Every woman is an
They're all
object to be
important
taken.
missions, wouldn't you agree? Well, here's one way to tackle the brunette problem. See what you think. First of all, be late.
You don't have time for
That'll show her you're a
dames.
busy, important person, that you're not too interested in her. Play hard to get. After all, you're worth waiting for.
Ring the
This
bell
will make a great
obnoxiously.
first impression. Then, laugh it off. Apologize? Oh, come on. Don't
Kick
be
her
a
in the
square.
shins.
Okay, now the topper. Show her what a sense of humor you have by
Make
holding
fun of her
coat
hair.
just a little bit too high.
Crush her spirit.
That's right. Next, be masterful, protective. Grasp her arm firmly and steer her down those steps to the car.
Like a
She can see
steer.
that you're the aggressive masculine type. What are you doing? Opening the door? You'll spoil your image. Oh, that's better. Sure, treat her as an equal. Women like that. Besides, if you're late, there's no sense wasting time on things she can do for herself. Let's face it, sometimes there's just not enough time for good manners, right? Doors afford a continued supply of chances to make an impression on your companion. Don't pass one up. It's always good for a laugh and an opportunity
Well, the
to show off
comedians
your
are
leadership
sailors.
qualities. How?
Well, what's the
By
difference?
leading the way, going first, naturally. That's the boy. Keep leading the way. Good naval officers always lead their men, or their women in this case. When you get to your table, sit down immediately. Shows you're relaxed. Help with her coat.
That's what waiters are for.
Well, you helped her on with it. Besides, it's her coat. She should have checked it anyway. Oh, yes. Make sure you're seated so you can see what's going on, too. Makes for a much more interesting evening. Now, here's perfect opportunity to demonstrate your independence.
Invite your mother along. That's the ticket.
Remain seated. After all, it's not during working hours, and you are doing him a favor by presenting your date to him.
For the
On
spank
the other
bank
hand,
later.
She should be impressed by meeting a senior officer. No question about it. This young lady will be grateful for such a lovely evening with a charming person like you.
Or probably not. Just get with the loving.
That's one approach to the problem of how to succeed with brunettes. Suppose we consider another way and see what you think.
Now here's a gal with too much going on.
How about starting by being on time? Not
Don't
just
ever
for a
be
date,
late, 'cause
but
there
for
is
any
never a
social
good
engagement
reason.
or business appointment. This indicates you are a dependable, business-like person, that the appointment means something to you. And let's face it, a good-looking girl
She's a
isn't going to wait
business.
around too long for anybody.
Force
Too
your
many
way
young
in
men
and
on
make
the
with the
prowl.
loving
Make it easy for her to slip into her coat.
by taking off her
Hold it
dress.
at the right height. That's being thoughtful. Watch the hair. If you muss it, you're going to lose points.
That's just a wig.
No, you don't grab her arm.
Give her the full
You
Nelson
offer
instead.
assistance. If she needs it or wants it, she'll take your hand, or perhaps your arm. But once the need for assistance is past, she'll give it back to you.
Remember, women
don't
will
be
always
surprised.
need men.
Yes, doors do offer an excellent chance to make a good impression. It's a way to show your respect for ladies, or your seniors, for that matter. Thoughtfulness, making things easier for someone else. This is at the heart of good manners.
Even if it is
and
all
in
just
the
a
heart
lie.
Of every gentleman. Besides, it's the way to succeed with brunettes. Ladies first. It's an old saying, but a good one.
Hey, that
90% of
dude's
the
not a
time.
lady.
Of course, if you're entering a restaurant or something comparable and there's no maitre d' or hostess to lead you to a table, then you would lead the way and select a table. She'll expect you to help her off with her coat and arrange it over the back of her chair so it's not all over the floor. No, she shouldn't have checked it. It is common practice for a lady to wear her coat to the table.
It covers up her
Although if
goods.
she indicates a preference for checking it, that's fine too. There. She has an excellent view of the room. Good thinking. You want her to have a good time, and being able to see what's going on will be half of the fun.
She's the town gossip after all.
And you probably will when you have a companion like that. Stand to show your respect for a senior or a lady.
Or a senior
this isn't
lady.
Just military etiquette, it's being a gentleman. And you present a man, even if it's the admiral himself, to a lady.
So take his pants down and present him thoroughly.
It's his pleasure to meet her. In this case, there isn't much doubt about it. Check the menu with your date. And if you have any knowledge about the specialties of the house or know particularly good dishes,
keep them to
let her in
yourself.
on it. But once you have both decided, you do the ordering. Well, that's another approach to how to succeed with brunettes. Looks like a winner, wouldn't you say? Let's take another typical situation. Going to the theater. You know, there seems to be something wrong here. Ah.
Her knees are
that's
showing.
it. He's walking on the wrong side.
What?
Wonder what his next move will be. A taxi.
A real
That
classless
means a
act.
door. And that means, yes, sir, this fellow's a born leader. One thing you can say, he's consistent, isn't he? Wait a minute. What's happening here?
Women leading the
girl
way?
out first?
Not in my
Well,
America.
I guess he boxed himself in by getting into the taxi first. Too bad. But he'll make it up. That's right. Pick the seats you want.
Excuse me. Sorry, her fault. Sorry, her fault. Excuse me, everybody. Sorry, her fault. Whoa.
Pardon me, sir. Sorry about that.
Now beat him up to show dominance.
Now, to settle down and enjoy the movie. Nothing like a little snack to add to the fun. And your neighbors will
No,
love
give her
you.
one of the ones in your mouth, like a mama bird feeding her
What do
young.
you say we go through this situation again? The right way. The way that's successful with brunettes. That's more like it.
Bring
you
your
walk
mother.
on the curbside at all times. Or on her left. And when you part company or meet a lady,
Invite her back to your
salute is
place.
the proper greeting or farewell. It's the same thing as tipping your hat when you're in civilian clothes. Believe me, the brunette is impressed.
Oh, I believe it.
That's right. Ladies first. It's a good rule most of the time. And logical if you consider that the reason is to make things easier for the lady.
Because they're so damn dependent on you for that.
Now, here's one of those situations where the lady doesn't
Close the
go
door on her.
first.
Close the door on
The
her.
reason you
Come
go
on.
first is to make things easier for her, to open the door and assist her in getting out of the automobile. It makes sense, just as most gentlemanly traditions do.
Women are incapable of the
Right.
easiest of
It's
tasks.
her decision on where to sit, not yours. If you want to make a good impression,
Nice
be
caboose.
considerate
Thank
of the
you.
other person. Adjust your preferences to hers. And if you feel you must nibble on something during
Make
the
it
show,
her ear.
at least do it quietly, out of consideration for your neighbors. Well, you're squared away on how to succeed in restaurants and theaters. Let's take another situation.
How about the bedroom?
A small gathering in a home or officers' club. Uh-oh. I have a feeling we're going to see anything but the right way to do things. Anyway, the necessity for making and acknowledging introductions occurs frequently. It should be done correctly, but I wouldn't bet on it in this case.
Mrs. Rohr, I'd like you to meet Mary Jackson and Midshipman Williams.
Perfect introduction. Man presented to lady.
Oh, you got a
So it's
firm
going to
grip
wring her
there,
hand
Alice.
off, doesn't it? And who knows whether she wanted to shake hands or not.
Maybe she wanted to
Of
get
course, he
down
had
and
no
dirty.
choice. His hand was out quicker than a waiter's in a nightclub.
Oh, hello there. I'd like for these good-looking women to meet you. Mary, this is Mr. Pren. Mr. Pren, this is Mary.
Mr. Gottlieb, Mrs. Claypool, Mrs. Claypool, Mr. Gottlieb.
Mrs. Childs, Mrs. Rohr, like to have you shake hands with the commander. Mrs. Childs, Mrs. Rohr.
The commander's
Almost
sucking all the
unbelievable,
fun out of
isn't
the
it?
scene.
This young man puts bad manners back to back. First, he calls a senior officer Mr. instead of by his rank. He still doesn't get on his feet. and he presents the ladies to the commander instead of vice versa. And I do believe he was going to ignore the two ladies completely if it hadn't been for the commander. Well, we'd better run through the whole thing again, the right way.
Start with the
Because
Eiffel
you do
Tower.
want to
I
be
find this to be a
successful with
staple
those brunettes.
move.
Right?
We have 3 children.
3 children?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how old are they?
22, 19.
Excuse me.
Mrs. Rohr,
Hello.
I'd like you to meet Mary Jackson and Midshipman Brown.
You look mighty
How
erect,
do you do,
officer.
Mrs. Rohr?
How do you do?
Jack is in your husband's battalion.
Oh, another...
Oh, good evening, Commander.
You look mighty erect, officer.
Childs, Mrs. Roars, Miss Jackson, this is Commander Pren.
How do you do? Meet you.
I believe he was aboard the Constellation when your husband was, Mrs. Childs.
That's how you succeed in being a gentleman and impress brunettes.
Does he mean mine?
Wait
Because I'm
until a lady
dyed.
offers her hand. Then shake it briefly, firm but not crushing. You get on your feet for a lady.
You get
or
on your back
senior,
for a blonde.
rank, or age. As a matter of fact, it's good manners to acknowledge an introduction to anybody by rising. Perfect.
Like a good
The senior
dough-bread,
officer
it's
addressed
always
by his
important
rank.
to rise.
You're on your feet, and the man is presented to the ladies. A good way to remember this is to mention the names of the ladies or senior officers first in the introduction. In the case of introducing one person to a group, just follow a simple practice. The single person is introduced to the group. If this group had been larger, you would have said, "This is Commander Pren," then ticked off the names of each member of the group.
Everyone on the death list.
Miss Heffern. Mrs. Kaufman, may I present Miss Heffern?
Miss Heffern, how nice to have you with
Miss
us.
Heifer.
How are you this evening?
Hi, fatty.
All right, let's consider a more formal situation, the receiving line. It looks as though we're going to get a lesson in how not to succeed in being a gentleman. Let's see how it goes.
Hi, I'm Charlie Williams. How you doing?
Mrs. Kaufman, may I present Midshipman Williams?
Mrs. Kaufman.
Nice
brilliant,
breasts,
nice
1 in a
party.
million.
Glad
Well,
you made
2
it.
anyway.
Oh, hello there, Admiral. How are you? Nice party.
That shakes my jowls.
Stab you.
Oh, say, weren't you on the Salem, if my memory serves me correctly, during the Korean War?
Dear
The hell of
Mrs.
it, Mrs.
Jackson.
Williams.
He's making points with the Admiral, though. But what about the girl? He went through the line without even thinking about her.
She can't manage by
May
herself.
as
She's
well
a
come
woman.
alone. I wouldn't give him much hope for any success with her. Other than that, what do you think about the rest of his behavior? More important still, how do you think those people feel?
That's right, they're aroused.
Let's take this situation again, the right way. You'll note that the
See,
young lady
everything's
does not
better with a
hold your arm.
blonde.
That is correct. And you walk on her left. As you near the line, allow her to move ahead. No handshaking with the aide or escort. However, the first person in line may be the host or hostess at times. So if the hand is offered,
Take it and save it for later.
That's a very simple rule. Just wait until the other person offers to shake hands.
Miss Jackson. Mrs. Kaufman, may I present Miss Jackson?
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.
Just tonight.
Very
Mrs.
nice
Jackson.
to see you.
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.
This is the way to go through a receiving line. If an aide or dance chairman or some similar person heads up the line, you do not shake hands. Further, as in all handshaking situations, you wait for ladies and seniors to extend their hands before you shake hands.
If all else fails, a
Your
good
date
high five
precedes
should
you
cover the
in the line.
balance.
As usual, it's ladies first. And you move through the line quickly with no stops for conversation.
So
This
shut
just
up.
isn't the time or the place to be talkative. Your remarks may be, "How do you do, sir?" "Good evening, Admiral," or similar brief, courteous comments. After
Nice
the line,
skirt, Admiral. Dig the dress,
Well,
Major, or
let's
something
take
to
a
that
look.
effect.
Here's a beautiful way to succeed with brunettes at a dance, at a party, wherever you may go. Leave her to shift for herself occasionally. She'll appreciate you all the more when you do return.
She'll cling to you like a buoy in the
Sure she will.
storm.
When you are with her, be affectionate. Show her and the other people present just how much you care for her. She'll love it, if she happens to be an exhibitionist. And for goodness sake, don't let
Hello,
anything
Felicia.
or anybody spoil your fun. Don't get stuck being a nursemaid
Bye,
for somebody
Felicia.
else's date. Let him worry about her. A good way to make an impression is to hold your partner tightly while moving all over the dance floor. She'll love it. Want to dance all night with you.
Shall we rest for a while? I feel as though I'm coming down with a cold or something.
Man,
you could take
dames
me
and their frigid hearts, am I right?
And then there's the right way to do things. Make sure your date has a good time, meets and dances with your friends. At other times, your
Oh yeah,
places
she
with
looks
her.
thrilled.
Be considerate. That's your main obligation. And if another young lady is left alone for some reason, stand by until her escort appears.
Be ready to pounce.
Consideration for others, kindness. This is being a gentleman. Dancing. This is good duty, no question about that. Enjoy it, but be in good taste.
6 inches
Show
for the
respect
Lord
for
and
your
Commander.
taste and her reputation, and she will respect you. Success with brunettes, or blondes, or just about anybody, is built upon respect. And being a gentleman is to command respect.
But remember, they need you.
How to succeed with brunettes? Be a gentleman.
I was a gentleman this whole time and all I get is a peck on the cheek? Produced by Film Graphics, the people that bring you graphics on film.